She met up with acquaintance 2 at a Maverick gas station in Draper and purchased from him 15 to 30 round green-blue pills, which she understood to be fentanyl.
There was no fentanyl or traces of fentanyl found in the home anywhere.
1 or 2 pills might be accidental. 20 or 5 times the lethal dose is not accidental, Your Honor. That is someone who wants Eric dead.
Since Eric's death, we have learned and unfortunately are continually reminded that Kouri is desperate, greedy, and extremely manipulative. We have watched as Kouri has paraded around portraying herself as a living widow and victim while trying to profit from the death of my brother.
Kouri Richins is charged with murdering her husband, Eric, by feeding him, unbeknownst to him, obviously, in his Moscow Mule drink, a whole bunch of fentanyl, enough that killed him. So she's been locked up pending her trial. They were searching her cell and they found this walk the dog letter that she had written and had hidden inside her little book in her little cell. Now you may recall that before she got arrested, she wrote a children's book on dealing with grief for children, how to grieve the loss of a parent, and she's charged with her children's father's murder. So take a look at what we found in the state's memorandum in opposition to motion to enforce order and for contempt sanctions. Sounds complicated. Take a listen. The court should deny the defendant's motion to enforce order. The motion is a fire, aim, ready reaction to the defendant's misconduct in the jail. The motion contains factual errors, legal misunderstandings, rendering it unpersuasive at best. On September 16th, the defendant had a telephone call with her mother. The defendant described the walk the dog letter as an excerpt of a fictional book that the defendant is writing about her stay in a Mexican prison. The defendant explains in pertinent part, and this is a quote from this conversation, "When I first got in here, I was telling you how I was writing a book. Those papers were not a letter to you guys. They were part of my book. I was writing this fictional mystery book. I go to Mexico and I'm like trying to find these drugs. I'm writing about Dad, like me and Dad went to Mexico to find these drugs. You can very much tell that the whole thing is very much a story." Again, she's an author, so she's claiming that this walk the dog letter, this incriminating walk the dog letter, was actually part of her book. So what we're going to do for you now is have you listen to our rendition of the walk the dog letter that was written by Kouri Richins.
She wants to link Eric getting the drugs and pills from Mexico, so we need some kind of connection. Her private investigator is doing some research on the ranch cartel place Eric would stay at. Here's what I'm thinking, but you have to talk to Ronnie. He would probably have to testify to this, but it's super short, not a lot to it. He will need to talk to Skye at the meeting next week. Upon information and belief, just like they say, a year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie was over watching football one Sunday, and Eric and Ronnie were chatting about Eric's Mexico trips. Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico from the workers on the ranch, but not to tell me because I would get mad because I always said he just gets high every night and won't help take care of kids. Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well. Eric told Ronnie he keeps them in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck so I wouldn't find them. Ronnie never told me about the conversation. Eric finally told me and asked if Carmen could get him some. Eric never wanted anyone to know he had an issue, especially get caught. He always wanted Kouri to go down for him. Reword this however he needs to make the point just to include it all. The connection has to be made with Mexico and the drugs. Ronnie will have the messages to prove Eric confided in him about getting high. He can be short and to the point, but it has to be done. When you talk to Ronnie about this, meet up with him in person. I worry sometimes your house and phone are bugged. Tell him I need him to do this. Bring me home, and then we will get those damn bitches. We're so close to the end. Let's push through. Have the conversation with Ronnie before he meets with Skye. Then tell him to tell Skye at the meeting about the conversation. Hang in there. We're almost there. Love you to the moon.
Oh, boy. right, take a look, folks. Back in court, scheduling hearing November 3rd. We'll have more for you there. But does that letter sound like she's trying to get her family to make up some stuff to testify to in court? Or does it sound like a piece of her brand new book that she's writing now?
I am so impressed with her as an author. She probably will get a Pulitzer. I mean, this is, and by the way, in Mexico, wasn't enough tequila to make them do what she alleged that they should do.
That letter is funny. I mean, it's really just funny. There's nothing good about it that would help say that's actually a book.
It's evidence against her
There's
now.
evidence against her.
No, we're
That's all I'm
pushing.
saying.
It's push.
There's
It's push.
no way.
If that was truly her theory of what happened to her husband, she would have told the cops that. She would have brought it up and said, look, I think my husband might be tied to El Chapo or some Mexican drug cartel down in Mexico. But no, suddenly they just sort of mysteriously find this letter that she's going to probably qualify as musings, you know, as her memoir or some type of diary entry, but that she's going to try to use as her legal defense. If this comes into evidence, Vinny, she's going down like the next submersible.
Well, here's what they're going to try to do
Right
now.
near the Titanic.
Here's what they're alleging, that this letter was written for her lawyer and was actually found in an envelope to her lawyer.
That's a problem.
Which makes it,
Yeah, that is a problem.
if
That's
it really
different.
was to her lawyer.
That's legal
Mail.
communication.
It's supposed to be.
Can you
just
use your
her-
lawyer as a conduit to send a letter to your family to lie for you in
Doesn't
court?
matter. It should have been read. It should have been looked at. It should have
Exactly.
been touched.
If
get
it's
a special master.
it's lawyer-client privilege.
You get a
and if that
special
be the case,
master
yeah.
to look at it under a search warrant.
Yes.
And then a court makes a determination rather than just going public with it, putting it in motions and exposing all of this. Because now what you've done is you've tainted future jury pools for this woman.
It's forever tainted.
Forever tainted.
In Park City? This is Park City,
Park
right?
City,
No,
Utah.
I was there
Park
2
City,
weeks ago.
Utah.
They're not tainted. They're skiing.
Not in September.
Oh, yeah. Trust me.
They were skiing. All right.
They're probably skiing.
Mentally.
thinking that-
All right.